for 4th of July break, so I'm pretty sure I'm not working tomorrow. So, you shouldn't expect anything from me tomorrow morning, one way or the other. Because I like to sleep when I'm not working. In the morning. I am good slogging into early afternoon. Not all the time, but you know, I'd rather be up at 7 than be up to be somewhere by 7. That's a completely different experience. Excuse me. You know, I've been thinking about the global conflicts situation and, the framework that we're living in and the cognitive dissonance of the back and forth of it all, right? And if you go back to one of our greatest examples of things is the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and Tim Osman, aka Osama bin Laden. The most famous and infamous Muslim in Western mythology, in Western modern mythology, right? The ultimate boogeyman, right? Iron Man 3. Did you guys watch Iron Man 3? Iron Man 3 was really fucking good. Back before everything was some sort of sloppaganda, fema-slop, or I don't know, we're slopping everything around, right? Before it went slop. back when everybody's hopes and dreams for superhero storytelling in live action was at an all-time high. We were getting some of the best adaptations ever from a bunch of professionals who understood the assignment, right? Which listen, the problem is that it wasn't slop back then, but it was definitely CIA propaganda, right? Or somebody's propaganda. Remember, they talk about Gal Gadot, right? So anyway, we've been in a horrible habit of being supportive of people that we later have to destroy. And, Osama bin Laden is a chief example. Iraq as a whole is a chief example, right? We have been engineering the Middle East through warfare for a long time. We've been propping up certain people and taking down certain people, and this is why they don't want to arm the Kurds of Iran, because the Kurds of Iran, most of them that would be a part of a willing fighting force, are more loyal to other things. They aren't the Shah v. Shah Iranians, right? Maybe it's too soon as far as high trust persons. We haven't found high trust persons yet, because you're talking about arming, if you got X thousand fucking IRGC plus Iranian military that may get activated, you're talking about the citizens fighting a war on two fronts, right? You have to make sure that the Iranian military right? Because there's been strikes on Iranian military, right? Like they're pretty hurting too, but mostly their troops are intact, right? We've done a lot of damage to stuff, and we've certainly killed a lot of people. But the mission objectives have never been about liberating Iran. That's just something that's more of a byproduct of what is required for a proper ceasefire over the Strait of Hormuz, right? No more, no more poking the bear for you. You're done. You are done, being outside of the international order of things. That is the message that is coming from what seems like America and America alone. And who's to say whether we really have friends or if people are just scared of us? But you know what? That's fine, right? I think we all have to reframe a bunch of fucking considerations. Like the Middle East is a Western construct for Middle Eastern people. That's because of the fall of the Ottoman Empire and what our imperialism was trying to accomplish, which was to civilize people of Islam, because we didn't want to talk about how extremist Islam gets the way that it gets. Christians don't get like this when Christians get like this. They fucking do not. And there's video that's fucking come out that across the board anybody can propaganda. Islam's never that bad. This wasn't all Hollywood fabrication, the shit that was happening here in America. It's not some fucking Hollywood fabrication of what you've seen in the UK. Holy shit with the things in the UK, right? As somebody who really didn't want to not be a classical liberal in the way that I thought that means before I even understood classical liberal was as a difference, and I just thought I was going to be a liberal in the 90s and the 2000s, and that was going to be it. Right? That's a product of the secular world, where conservatives are getting their line of horse shit from their church world, particularly. They have their parameters for ignoring the secular world, and the secular world has its parameters about whatever excuse you want to have your low opinion about any Christian who is politically conservative. Because we don't fucking fight as, like, Christians and Christians, they don't fight like this until it's forced politics because of the urgency of the day, right? And we're learning about how ill-informed we all are, how fucking ignorant we all are of everything, right? And we are too ashamed to admit it, right? And Donald Trump is saying, admit it. You were wrong about the Shah. Admit it. You were wrong about 12er Islam Ayatollahs. Admit it. They don't want to fucking admit it because they promise on paper a Islamic version of what they want globally on a atheist, not secular, but atheist They want to, and they need a nasty holy war to ban religion, but they're just going to be the sole religion of godness. A dead atonism is what they're going for. A dead atonism to destroy us, right? This is okay. You watched Indiana Jones, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark. You take the gold idol and you put the fucking stones on top of the sensor that triggers not just the boulder but the tribe. They, the global unknowns who have scapegoated the Jews and scapegoated Israel, as part of a plot to put them in the top of the food chain when they're just a people that got lost and gathered into these tribes as adopted identity. It's not their fucking fault. A long fucking time ago, as conceived by the global unknowns that invented this whole fucking charade for them to slaughter themselves for their black magic. For fuck's sake, people. And so that is why I jumped in a hair short of being fucking Zionist, defending these motherfuckers. Because I'm watching you guys falling for it. I'm only fucking 46, and to watch men older than me falling for it, that have been in this scene, right? Like, I've blown my brains out a long time ago if I just listened to Max Egan all day. I don't know how my friends do it. But nobody wants to put themselves in the energy body consciousness forefront form that I have chosen to take. Which is, okay, let's imagine the whole New World Order is one motherfucker staring right at me that I can fucking yell at and punch in the face. And that's what I try to do with these drive streams when I get like this. Right? That's why I like to flash the Gurren Lagann final showdown spread in my intro videos on my home studio streams. I hope I still got computer capacity to do it, because right now I do not have enough fucking promisable economic flow to blow money on a new computer. And I do not foresee myself making money in tarot readings. I mean, I'll make a little bit of money, from whomever, from services, but I'm not going business with it. I'm just not. I'm not built for it. It would, I'd get myself in all sorts of fucking trouble. It's too social of an activity for me to do like that without prior agreement, because my Aries stubbornness and my Leo pride will get right in the fucking way. And it's already done it. I'm already ashamed of myself, and I'm already sorry about it. I just have to pay my penance and move on. And always have gratitude. That's the way it is. But anyway. So, I wish I could be the model guy for you. But anyway, that's my point. So, and in that story with Gurren Lagann, which I highly recommend you watch my fucking conversation about Gurren Lagann that I did with Jin the Ninja. Shout out Jin the Ninja. Now, a lot of disagreements with him, but we're all cult rejects, and we're all bringing wild fucking arguments to the table. Mine might be the wildest, but then again, I have a tendency to think that about myself. Relax, I'm not as arrogant as I sometimes want to come off, because it's fun to play arrogant. It is. It's fun to play. I'm just playing, and it's not a character act. I'm literally just being me and playing. I'm a Leo. I'm playful. Leave me alone. I'm an Aries, but I'm a Leo. Got a lot of Leo energy, so whatever. I'm playful. And so there was a lot of enemies that became friends later on after figuring out a deeper level of the absolute, which changes all the dynamics, right? The first half of the show, you're you're fighting, these beast men, and then you beat the beast men halfway through the show, and then you're super tight because your ideological differences have been sorted out. But you don't live in a perfect world, and some of the beastmen are jerks, and you invented prisons. And that's part of how the story rolls. And then these interdimensional entities become the new fucking problem. And the game they run on manipulating mankind is fucking tight. And what's interesting is there's 2 translations of the fucking trigger. And I think this is very interesting because of what Gurren Lagann as a show had fucking, like, that show was an upload. That I got an upload from that. Quite a good, or download, whatever. I got a message saying being de-encrypted, right? In one version of the storyline, because there's like the movies and then there's the series, it's a population number, which also coincides with reaching the moon. In the other story, the trigger is just reaching the moon. Because either way, in the story, you reach the moon, but one made it that your population could not exceed 1,000, right? And so there's an internal census counter on the moon that is tracking how many souls exist, because the moon is a giant fucking robot, because it's anime, and I love anime, and anime made planetary intergalactic size fucking robots for me, because anime. Anyway, and the story fucking makes all that fucking wild, over-the-top cool nonsense so deeply meaningful. It's okay that it's kind of a kid's toy, right? Like, like if Transformers didn't have a really fucking kick-ass lore and story and well-developed cartoon show, I wouldn't have fucking, it wouldn't have had exact same impact on me, right? It might have got lost in certain aspects of competition. But anyway, so yeah, there's propaganda, man, and we have been trying to build the Middle East into something that was going to be our friends. And there was lots of room for that to happen. Because, look, the politics of the day stabbed tremendous amount of people in the back. That was part of the conspiracies of their time, though. That wasn't like, that's something that that's something that people either buried or reverse rationalized like we do today. And so the good intentions of everybody gets lost every single fucking time. And the 20th century, yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think we also need to evolve that thought. Because what the fuck are we doing? Because that thought works if you condemn the world to its Gnostic fucking conspiracy. I refuse to do that. This is about transcending the how you think you escape your invisible prison, right? Because you keep trying to visualize the world as is in a prison-like manner, especially with the panopticon of the surveillance state we carry in our pockets. Fair. They haven't created an invention that can override natural law. But there's still a lot of suffering when they succeed in violating natural law, but the retribution eventually comes up, right? It's a question of when you acknowledge the violation of natural law. As long as you, from true core intelligence out into the Dasein, acknowledge it, you're creating the building blocks of the field of protection that I have. Which makes, I don't know, it makes paperwork and what they know about you almost irrelevant. Okay, so anyway, I'm almost to work. I gotta go pay attention to my GPS to be certain of things. With the exception of the psychopathic evil unknowns, I want you to find empathy and compassion for every lost soul, because we're the ones that know better. Let's start being better shepherds than those that stole the title. All right, peace out.